Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the Holy Smokes Barbecue channel. Let me paint a little picture for you. All right, you've made a brisket, and because you didn't have like 8 to 10 people over, you've got leftovers. Great problem to have, am I right? So what do you do with this leftover brisket? Well, I have got just the recipe for you today, because we're gonna take some of this delicious brisket that we smoked just a few weeks ago here on the channel. I'll drop a link to that video below. But also we're gonna take that and we're gonna create with it, get this, some delicious leftover brisket nachos. It's gonna be a super simple recipe to make, and it's gonna be delicious as like an appetizer or as a meal. I'm not judging you. So with that, let's get all of our stuff together and let's make these delicious leftover brisket nachos. All right, and here is our leftover brisket. It's still in the Ziploc bag. Now, this is, again, from that brisket that we made just a few weeks ago, and it has been frozen. So it was frozen in a really tight wrap in my freezer, and then I brought it out yesterday, and it's been thawing for about 24 hours. I let it thaw for about 4 or 5 hours, just sitting on my counter, and then I put it in the fridge, and it thawed overnight, and now it is completely thawed. And it's been sitting here for a little while outside, which has brought it kind of up to not quite room temperature, but fairly close. All right, there we have it. Few things just to note here. You'll see these little white specks. That's just fat. Nothing wrong with that. That is just kind of like solidified fat on there. You can see it really well on the bottom here. This is where that fat cap would have been. So obviously there's going to be more fat there, and you can even see the fat cap running right into here. Look at that smoke ring. Beautiful. All right, so let's talk about how we're going to reheat this. The first thing I'm going to do is cut up a little bit of it. And I'm going to cut it sort of like right here, and then just make some slices out of this and probably have them and stuff like that. And then I'm going to chop it up. So I'm going to chop up this, again, probably about half of this brisket. I'm going to chop that up, and then I'll show you what we're going to do next. All right, just cut right into there. Now, since this is not like a hot, fresh off of the smoker brisket, it's obviously not going to cut quite as easily. So you just got to work at it a little bit. But there we go. All right, take a look at that. Looks really nice. Again, you could see the white marks there. That's going to equate to juiciness. Okay, I'm gonna set the rest of this aside. All right, so now I'm gonna take this chunk of brisket and just chop it up a little bit, cut it into some sections, and then switch to my chopping knife and really get to chopping this brisket. So first we'll just make some sections here that we'll chop. Look at that. I'm telling you folks, really helps to have a sharp knife. All right, see that? Most people would look at that and think, oh, that's disgusting. Nope, that is juice. All right, just gonna come back in here with the knife. The more I do this, the less concerned I get about how, uniform the cuts are. Just wanna chop it up. All right, so with it like that, it's time to switch knives to my super sharp chopping knife. And we're gonna go through this just like we would chop anything. Now, we're not losing any of that juiciness, and that's because of the temperature. You can still see that even though I'm chopping this, that fat is still solidified in there. So as long as this doesn't start like actually heating up, which it wouldn't because it's not hot enough for that to happen, we'll be fine. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and chop the rest of this, and we'll make it move really fast. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. All right, we'll move our brisket out of the way here and enter our foil pan. I gotta tell you, this is one of my top 5 cooking tools outdoors, to have these on hand at all times. If you don't have these on hand at all times, you're missing out, because this is an essential tool to use when you're smoking stuff. You can get them for super cheap too. Get them at the dollar store. They're like, you can get like, I don't know, like 1,000 for 50 cents or something. I don't know, something like that. All right, so first, to this foil pan, I'm gonna add a little bit of beef broth. And that's what's gonna really help draw out some of that moisture. Not a lot, just nice little coating on the bottom there. Next, I'm gonna add about half of my brisket. Look at that. Oh, doesn't that look great? More beef broth. More brisket. And finally, you guessed it, just a little bit more broth. All done in total, that was about 1.5 cups of broth. All right, so next thing I'm gonna do is wrap this up in foil, just cover it nice and tightly with foil, and put it onto the smoker at 250 degrees. Now I'm covering it, so that means it's not gonna take on any smoke flavor, which is fine, I don't need any. This thing was originally on the smoker for like half a day, so it's nice and smoky. But I do just wanna heat it up. You could do this in your oven inside and achieve the exact same result. All you need is heat. I just like doing it outside because, well, it's more fun. nice and tight around the edges so that it will steam and all that steam will be kept inside. All right, at 250 degrees, this is only gonna take about 20-25 minutes to heat up to where I want it to be. So I'm gonna get this on the smoker, and then in just a few minutes, we'll get started on building our nachos. All right, it's been about 30 minutes, and that brisket is just about ready to come off. So I'm gonna go ahead and start building our nachos, and we're gonna build them today in my 12-inch Sam the Cooking Guy cast iron pan. I love cooking with cast iron. All right, so to start, just use a layer of your favorite tortilla chips. And I say layer for a specific reason, and that is I hate going places and getting nachos, and then once you've kind of eaten the top, there's nothing but chips at the bottom. So we're actually gonna layer these up so that you get just the same amount of deliciousness all the way through these nachos. All right, next we're gonna come in with 2 different types of cheeses, and we're gonna shred them right here onto the nachos. We're gonna start with some cheddar. All right, I'm gonna follow that up with some Monterey Jack. All right, now it's time to add some brisket. Let's go grab it. All right, I got my brisket here. Very hot. Woo! It's nice and juicy. All right, let's just put some of that on here, just like so. Sort of place it all around in there. I hope that you're on the phone right now with your friends saying, hey, I got the perfect thing for us to eat tonight. Come over. Now, guess what? We do the whole thing again. This ain't your grandma's nachos. Unless, you know, your grandma really likes brisket nachos. So we got the chips. We're going in with more cheese. Of course. This is not very diet conscious. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta live a little, right? More Monterey Jack. Is that gonna be good or what? All right. More brisket. Oh yeah. Brisket just smells so good. For good measure, why not, you know? Why not? Let's just top it with a little bit more. Why not, I ask you. Now, this beautiful, monstrous creation is gonna go back on the smoker, and I'll tell you why. Let's go over there. Okay, so as delicious as those nachos will be right now, we're not done yet. I'm gonna put it back here on the smoker. This is my Pit Boss Platinum Series Lockhart, and it's gonna go into the main smoking chamber, again at 250 degrees, for not very long at all. All I'm really looking for is for the cheese to get nice and melted and maybe even bubble a little bit, but also just to impart a little bit of extra smoke flavor to it. Now with it only being in there for a few minutes, it's not gonna have the opportunity to take on a lot of natural smoke just because, again, it's not exposed to it very long. So I'm supplementing the smoke today using my smoke tube. And you've seen me use that before here on the channel. If you haven't, I'll drop a card up above so that you can see how to use a smoke tube and when to use it. Let's go ahead and get these nachos back on the Lockhart for just a few minutes, and then we'll be back to top them off in the most delicious way possible. All right. There you can see my smoke tube is going right in the middle. Close that up. Oh, can't wait. All right, get a load of these nachos. Woo! Look at that. That looks delicious. But still not done yet. Love how that cheese is melted in there. Oh. Now from this point, the beautiful thing about nachos is you could leave them just like this, or you could put literally whatever you want to on them. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the stuff that I like on them. You don't have to do any of this. You could substitute with all your favorite stuff. The key is that you think it's delicious. Now for me, I love a little pico. Just like that. There we go. Kind of spread the love around a little bit here. And again, you can just add more of this as you go, obviously. Next, let's throw some jalapenos on there. Of course, love some good heat. Holy smokes, that's gonna be good. Whoops, run away. Then right in the middle, you gotta have a little dollop, right? Just a little dollop. Sour cream. And just for a little color, some parsley. And oh my gosh! There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Leftover brisket nachos. This thing would feed like an entire party of people. Man, is that gorgeous. And remember, they're layered, so even as you get through this top layer, you're getting more of that delicious brisket underneath. Man, I cannot wait to try these nachos, and it is time, and I'm so pumped that it is. But before I taste these nachos, why don't you go ahead and click that like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. And you might want to even turn on that post notification bell so that you are one of the first people to know as soon as we post new delicious outdoor cooking content. But for now, I can't wait any longer. Here we go. Oh, that brisket. You get a jalapeno there, a little bit of the sour cream. A little bit of everything here. Here we go. Smoked leftover brisket nachos. Oh man. Woo! Flavor beyond measure. Wow. Man, I got 4 words for you. Can you guess what they are? 4 words. I struggle to even say them because I can't stop eating these nachos. That's good. Oh my gosh. Next level. Next level. You know, listen, you, the viewer, I believe that we're kind of friends because you're watching me right now. And as a friend, can I ask you a favor? Will you promise me that you're gonna try this? Because it's absolutely incredible. I've never had nachos that have had this amount of just beautiful flavor. And yes, you can taste the smokiness from that smoke tube. Well, needless to say, my future is pretty bright because it includes these nachos. So thank you once again for tuning in to the Holy Smokes Barbecue channel, and make sure that you check out one of these other 2 videos of some stuff that we've done here. I've done a lot of sides, a lot of appetizers, all outdoors on the smoker. So check one of those 2 things out, and I'll see you next time.